Hey, today we're going to build wood storage on this wall. Try to get all this wood up off the ground so I have more space to work. First we got to paint it. That's all done. It's been raining all day. It's taking forever for it to dry. But before anybody says something, there's imperfections in the wood. I'm not that bad at it. So now we're going to cut some 2x4s, prepare to lumber out. Hey, I'm back at it, trying to do some work on this lumber rack, get all this wood up so I have some more room to build stuff. I took some 2x4s, I milled them down the table saw to about 3 inches thick. I cut all the edges off, make them a little square, a little more presentable. Sand them up, clean them up, I'm going to paint them, put them up on the wall, start putting some lumber up there. Hey guys, I'm back in the shed. I got this wall all painted up. Got these kind of vertical 2x4s in place. I milled them down to 3 inches. I didn't really film that. You're watching a woodworking channel, so you could probably cut a 2x4 down to 3 inches. And then I made some of these brackets right here. You can see them, right? Just kind of glued them up, and they're going to slide on here, and then I'll screw them in. You've probably seen this type of storage system before. And I'm going to screw it into size on each side of the vertical beam here. But in making these, I was going to show you how to make them or how I make them. It just became real laborious. It just became kind of slow going and more or less just time, sensitive, or just took up too much time to do. So today I'm going to go ahead and make a jig. I'm going to make a jig or 2 jigs that make making these easier. So let's go and see how that's done. And of course, I have to go ahead and take all my equipment and tools and my table saw. You see it right there. Outside, because I'm not set up to do anything here in the shop. Stay tuned. Alright, so check it out, guys. Here is the bracket that I made. And the hardest part is cutting this angle. That's what takes the most time in trying to get both of them to match up so it looks like it's something correct or something that was milled properly. So my plan is these are cut-offs from the other previous pieces that were square, and then I cut this angle. So these are the offcuts that would sit, well, technically this way, I guess, if it got put back on the board. So what I'm going to do is take my bracket, line it up on the piece of MDF that I just cut from my sled, line it up with the blade, which is going to be cutting these boards on the angle that I want. In order to push them, kind of like a push stick, I'm going to take one of the offcuts and make a stop that I can take my piece of board when I have it and stick it on the sled so it won't back up, so it will move with the sled. My other board, my other angle, is going to line up right alongside of it to give me a fence to butt the piece of wood up to. So now what I have, when I take this out, is a spot to put my board that's going to make one side of the bracket and cut it exactly at the angle I want by using the 2 offcuts from the previous board to recreate this angle. Haha! math. So here's what the mock-up looks like. Using those two offcuts, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to glue them in place, let it kind of sit there until the glue dries, and notice how large and kind of oversized the sled is. I can always trim it down, but I do know that I'm going to need the sled itself to be longer than I would normally need it, probably longer than the table saw is wide, so I can kind of start off the table and feed it all the way through and cut that angle. So let's go ahead and get those glued in place. Hey YouTube, woodworkers, subscribers, family, friends, or whoever's watching. I know I don't have a lot of subscribers or videos up right now, and my hacks probably don't have a lot of street cred or YouTube cred, but Dollar Tree sells silicone basting brushes for $1 or $1.25. Now there is a price. Wood glue does not stick to silicone, so you have an automatic reusable glue spreader of goodness. Done. All right, YouTube, check it out. So here's my glue spread for this back piece right here. I put the glue on the MDF, and I put a little bit on this piece right here coming vertical. I'm gonna now go ahead and fit this right in here. It's not gonna stick to it. Alright YouTube, here's the next mock-up for these brackets I got. So if this is the vertical beam over there behind me, if that's the black beam, that sits up against the wall, and I have to build this bracket to fit around here nice and snug so it can hold a lot of weight after I screw it in. So as you can imagine, cutting each one of these sides, which we just made that jig, makes it easier. Holding it on, gluing and screwing, flipping it over, holding it on, gluing and screwing, the whole time trying to maintain this distance so that the bracket will slide onto the beam against the wall. It gets a little wonky and it starts to get a little difficult just to hold it square and glue it and screw it. So here's my idea. I got some, actually I don't have some, I have a bunch of this reclaimed melamine. This was from a big huge tile department store that was redoing their shelvings, and I have a whole bunch of these cutoffs, black melamine. I'm gonna make some other table saw jigs, you know, because glue won't stick to it, it'll slide. And I have, I think, 7 or 8 4x8 sheets of black melamine. So that's gonna be all my worktops when we get in here. So here's my idea. I'm going to make a jig like this so I can slide it along the fence. I'm going to put in my spacer, which would mimic the vertical beam against the wall. And then I'm going to take, I just need some scrap wood. I'm going to take the part that makes my bracket, and then the two side pieces that I cut on the new jig, and line them up, clamp it, glue it, screw it, tack it in place. When I'm all done, I'm going to be able to take this sled and ride it along the fence and trim off each one of these brackets to be exactly the same length. So right now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clean up this melamine real quick so it looks nice. Kind of cut off the edges, make them all trim. And then I had to buy special melamine screws to get this vertical part up. And I'll probably make some vertical supports here for in the corner so it maintains good 90 degrees. See how that works. Hey friends, still here. Working on this lumber rack. You see, I got one set up with about 5 of these brackets made. I've been working on making these brackets. It's just kind of a production. Got to keep making them, so I have all the shelves set up. This is pretty solid. Hold a bunch of 2x4s. You can't see from where you're at, but there's more room on the ground, but not enough room to really build anything in here or even build out the space yet. So right now I'm going to show you how I made these. I have the jigs I made. I cut up some strips of plywood that I'm going to use for the sides of all the new brackets. And I'm going to show you how I cut them up and use the 2 jigs. I'm not going to show you how I milled up the plywood. I cut a strip 6 inches wide and cut it 18 inches long. That's it. But I'll show you how the jigs work. They're pretty cool. All right. So here's the sled I'm going to use to cut the angle on those bracket shelves. I'm just going to go ahead and take these 6x, it's actually 6x19. I think I said 6x18 earlier. 6x19, it's going to ride in the sled just like this as it fits in the jig. And I'm going to use this just to push it through. The part that sits on the jig is the part I'm going to use. The other part is the offcut that I don't really have any use for just yet. This is what the outcome is going to look like. We'll go ahead and measure them up at the end of cutting all of them. See how they all match up. They should be identical or close enough. I mean, it's lumber storage shelves made from plywood and pallet wood. All right, so let's go to cut. I got 9 more to cut to make 5 shelves. Then we'll move on to putting them together. All right, so here's all the offcuts. I know what we're gonna do with those. We'll build something. Let's go ahead and make a stage so we can see all these brackets. Let's check it out. Look at that. Oh, like a glove. Hey guys, back at it again. Today I'm going to show you how to use this jig that I made to actually assemble the brackets for that lumber storage. All right, here's the jig. Here's going to be the part that is the flat part of the bracket that sits up against the wall. And this is going to act as the vertical piece. And here's the 2 sides that we cut on the other jig. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slather up a bunch of glue. I'm going to clamp it together and put screws on either side of it. It's okay that it's a little long here. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it off with the table saw anyway, using this jig as well. So, got to get the glue. I'm sure you guys have watched enough woodworking videos to know that you got to put a bunch of glue, spread it all out, thin it all out, get the squeeze out, wipe the squeeze out off. So when I edit this, I'll probably just go ahead and fast forward through all this. Here's our handy dandy Dollar Tree silicone brush. The glue don't stick to it. So we'll go ahead and smear it out, just like so. Nice and even. And then it may make a bit of a mess, but I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over, glue the other side. I mean, the jig is made out of melamine, and the glue don't stick to the melamine either. So hopefully I just wind up gluing it to itself, or gluing the bracket to itself. Almost time for a glue refill. Dollar Tree. Alright, so now I'm going to push it all together, square it all up. This, of course, given the space, the angles have to go up flat to the edge of the jig. Now the only thing that's going to happen, I'm just going to go ahead and clamp these together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull it out of the jig. Get my jig out of the way. And now I'm going to go ahead, you know what, that worked out better on the table saw. That's all right. I'm gonna go ahead and screw these together. I'm gonna stick this underneath here so I got a little bit of leverage. A couple of pilot holes. All right, so same scenario. I'm just gonna flip it over. And yeah, this worked out a whole lot better on the table saw part. Now I'm in my own way. That's all right. Man, I can't wait till I'm better at this. So there you have it. Look, I got glue all over myself. Man, one day I'll be better at filming. And I'm just gonna go and wipe all this glue off and then go ahead and assemble the next one. Some of you might be thinking all that glue and 4, 2-inch screws, 8 2-inch screws on either side, gluing and screwing it all together. It's pretty robust. It's gonna be holding a lot of wood. And if you weren't overbuilding it, you weren't exactly woodworking. I'm gonna go ahead and assemble the next one. I'm not gonna film that. You guys see me do it once. If you want to see me do it twice, just rewind and start it again. You can watch me do it a second time. All right, so I guessed it already. I've been kind of working on it, not filming every step of it. But here's 2 shelves so far. It's holding a lot of wood. Last time I think I showed you we got 1 shelf. Here's the second shelf. The brackets they just saw me working on, that's going to be the 3rd shelf. I think I'm going to put a 4th shelf, but way on the bottom to hold all the bigger timber that's heavy, but just hold it kind of along the width of the shop on the floor, just off the floor, but on the floor, so it doesn't pull a lot of weight on the wall. All right, guys, here's lumber rack. It's all finished, made completely out of reclaimed wood, pallet wood, some 2x4s for some shipping crates. I have all of my other reclaimed wood, even the wood that was in the garage. I have it up here all stored away. I have some sheet material. I'm thinking about building a special little area right here for the sheet material to lean up against the wall. But other than that, you can't see behind you, but behind you kind of the equipment's over there, but it's all open space, ready for us to start building some stuff. So next projects are, we're going to build some planers. We're going to redo a planer bench. We're going to build a miter saw station with the cabinets and a chicken coop next week before we go on vacation. So if you guys found this video useful, you liked it, kind of liked it a little bit, you're like, man, that guy sucks at making videos, all of those are good things. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button and put a comment down, hit the thumbs up, you like it, that'd be great. And let's get this YouTube channel rolling. I'll see you guys next time.